Yeah, so kind of start by introducing yourself and how you
Hi,
got into the command job.
hi. My name's Edward Majek. I'm Tyler's dad. I'm a 1977 graduate of Norwich Regional Vocational Technical School on New London Turnpike in the old place that they were, and I went into the machinist trade and went there 4 years. Graduated in 1977, and from there I had a few small jobs here and there for about a year until I found my job that I had worked at for 23 years at Kaman Aerospace Corporation in Moossup, Connecticut. It was a very interesting job. We've got to meet astronauts, congressmen, worked on the space shuttle program, made parts for the C-5A cargo planes. It was a pretty well diversified company. It wasn't only military based. It was they had guitars. They made guitars and so on. So that's a little brief history. And my son will, I guess, ask me questions now.
Um, so this kind of relates back to the story about how you first got your job at command. It was from the education that you received at Norwich Tech, right?
Yes, it was.
All right, then. What was your official job position or title?
I was machinist, class A.
All right. What types of vehicles or objects did the company manufacture?
Vehicles. Well, I can't say complete. Well, yes, complete vehicles. We worked on the SH-2 helicopter for the Navy. We worked on the K-Max, which is a twin intermeshing rotor blades. That was a medium lift helicopter that they used in logging, setting electrical towers out in the wilderness. And it was a pretty interesting machine, both of them were. And eventually some foreign contracts came and we were able to sell SH-2 helicopters to Australia and New Zealand, and I believe NATO countries such as Poland were looking to buy them at one time.
And this also goes back to the story that did you just manufacture helicopters, or what else did they manufacture?
They manufactured, I was involved in the space shuttle program. We made parts for the nose, and then we made parts for the center fuel tank, the big brown tank that you used to see when it lifted off. They were called slosh baffles, and it's somewhat pretty self-explanatory. It was a series of baffles that went around in a circle inside that big center fuel tank, so the fuel wouldn't slosh around. That was pretty gratifying to be part of that program and to know that you made parts for something that went in space. And the center fuel tank does disintegrate. It doesn't return to Earth like the two solid rocket boosters that were on the side, so it was a one-shot deal with those. And like I said, it made me pretty proud to know that I was part of the space shuttle program, especially meeting some of the astronauts that came to command.
Was the products that you helped manufacture, I know you touched on it a little bit, sold to just the U.S. Military and or sold to other countries as well, or for civilian use like in the National Park Service and stuff like that?
It was both, actually. The K-Max twin rotor intermeshing rotor helicopter was actually sold there towards the end. The Army was looking into buying it as an UAV, which is an unmanned aerial vehicle, to be run by remote control for the military. And then it was sold to logging firms, it was used in search and rescue, and it was used not only for logging, but it was used for fighting forest fires. There was a Bambi bucket that was hooked to it, and they dip down into a lake, dip the bucket, fill it, and go dump it on a fire.
How big would you say was the workforce at the plant that you worked at?
During its heyday in the 1980s, when Ronald Reagan was president, and he was for a strong military and a strong defense, at that time, there were over 1,000 people that worked in the Moosup facility.
And for about how long did you work there?
I worked there for a total of 23 years in a few months.
Did you or anyone you knew there experience on-the-job accidents?
Yes, we did. People were constantly getting cut because we worked a lot with aluminum, and aluminum chips can be very sharp. There were accidents such as chemical spills and lifting heavy objects. A lot of times we lifted stuff that was beyond our means. We did have a crane for lifting some of it, but a lot of it had to be muscled up onto a bandsaw, heavy aluminum blocks, a couple 100 pounds that we had to saw. Stuff like that.
What led to the plant being eventually shut down?
The plant eventually closed, and a majority of their operations were moved to their headquarters in Bloomfield, Connecticut, and then another portion of their operations were moved to Florida, where they still are now, Jacksonville, Florida.
And to kind of wrap up, what was it like working in the defense industry, building or helping to build these machines that were going to help people in like search and rescue and to the military and stuff like that?
It was kind of interesting to know, if you saw the space shuttle take off, to know that you were part of that, to see an F-14 Tomcat, to know that you were part of that, B-2 stealth bomber, C-5A cargo plane, C-17. Every time we saw something like that, you had a sense of pride knowing that you were part of that. My biggest sense of pride was being part of the space shuttle team, and knowing every time that space shuttle went up, that you were part of that. You made something that went in that space shuttle. That was very gratifying, and it still is today. Some 30 years afterwards, after working there, it was something that I'll never forget. And one other thing, they were into a lot of secretive work, electromagnetic coil gun, working with composites, which is stealth, and stuff like, items such as that, and V-22 Osprey, which is the tilt rotor aircraft we made parts for. We even made parts for our competitor, Sikorsky Aircraft. We made blades for them, and they were our competitor. And but the best part of working there, bar none, was the people that I worked with. People worked there. They lived and they died, and everybody knew everybody. Everybody knew when people had their own personal problems. It was the people that made the plant. And it was a very skilled workforce that was back here in the Northeast. And there are some people that I will never forget. And the people made the plant. The plant didn't make the people. That's about it.
All right. Thank you for your time today, Dad.
You're welcome.